I'd like to call the City of Baldwin Council meeting for March 27th, 2023. We will get through this today, okay? Stand for the pledge and invocation. Lord, thank you for being with us this evening to guide us through our agenda and doing the city's business. Please guide our hearts and our minds to make the right decisions so that our city stays sound and that we do the best that we can for our citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we've got a long agenda tonight, so we're going to try to get through this as quick as possible. Okay, so first thing on the agenda, we've got our consent agenda. First item is approval of minutes for the council meeting March 13th, 2023. Has council had an opportunity to read through those? Any issues? Also, we would like to recognize revenue of a donation to our K-9 unit for $100. That's lovely. Also, we would like to recognize revenue for the sale of surplus of patrol vehicles in the amount of $22,284. Council, have any questions or comments or anything like that? Okay, fantastic. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Venture. Can I have a second?
Second.
Got a second from Councilman Ayers. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. We're getting right on it, aren't we? Motion passes unanimously. So we also have citizen comment. Do we have any citizens in the audience that would like to come and speak? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Jack Shropshire and Chandler Heights, 1100 Chandler Heights. I hate to say Alto because
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment on the talk of adding an employee, the dog, to the police department. First of all, I don't have a problem with dogs. I've had several. They become like family. And I don't like illegal drugs. I'm totally against them. I've seen families tore up, lives ruined because of drugs. So if I thought that the dog would help, I'd donate too. But I don't think until we start prosecuting illegal drugs the way it should be, they're not going to make a difference. Yeah, a dog will help find them and catch them, but there's no penalty for it. There's no deterioration to stop selling drugs. I have about 5 points that I'd like to make in talking about the adding the cost. I know the cost isn't a whole lot, but a lot of times what we think is going to cost X amount blossoms. So I'd like y'all to stop and think about what could this cost be, because what you put in the paper, if it's true, it's not that much money. But again, it doesn't deteriorate drug sales. I want you to consider the elephant in the world, and that's inflation. And what gets me about inflation figures, they don't even figure cost of gasoline, fuel, or food. I don't know how you can live without either one. But anyway, I wish you would consider right now the condition of this world. And it's not looking good to me. there's banks closing, interest rates going out of sight. Number two, there's a lot of turmoil in the world today. And I think making this decision to add this cost, that needs to be considered. Number three, again, my third point is catching a person selling drugs doesn't stop them from selling. There's not enough punishment. We have decided that we'll go and make them sit in a corner. That's no punishment. If you really ask me, punishment should be severe because it ruins lives and families. My fourth point is a lot of times you all will say, well, this money is coming from out of this source or that source. Well, if you have a source that has an abundance or more than it needs, why don't you move it? You know, you're not the federal government. Your jobs, the way I look at jobs of everyone up here, is to manage the money, not spend it. And poor management gets us all in trouble. I've been there, done that, did that. Most of us have. But I just think that the city council's job is, again, to manage the taxes. You know, you can't print money. All you can do is come to us taxpayers and ask for more. So I wish that you would consider these 5 points in making this decision. I'm not against those. I'm not against. I think they're great. But again, it doesn't deteriorate the problem. It's throwing good money after bad to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shropshire. I appreciate your comments. Absolutely. As always. So I'd like to address a couple of these. So we actually already approved the K-9 program, but that was at our previous meeting. That was not before council and mayor required our police department painstakingly making sure that they had absolutely every stone turned over to explore what costs would look like, what the liability would look like. We have a 12-page policy, K-9 policy, that was also a painstaking process. You know, our police department and myself wanted this to happen a little bit faster, but that was not the right way to do it. Dr. Almani, but the entire council had a laundry list of questions so that we could explore all of the costs. And the initial cost is coming from people who are speeding through our school zone, which is no secret how passionate I am about the people who speed through any school zone, but especially ours. We also, in Baldwin traditionally, have been really good about working with what we have, because we're all taxpayers also. So it comes on from our pockets as well. And anyone who's in the position that we are to make the decisions that the people have elected us to do, we know that we know the impact because it impacts our pocket as well. So that said, the K-9 was a multifaceted solution. So in looking out for the taxpayers' money, we decided that we were not able to afford animal control on top of what Habersham County residents already pay out of their with their property taxes. And that is something that we are working with Habersham County. That's something that we're working with Habersham County, and has been very successful, much more successful than it has in the past. In the past, we were told to pound sand when we said, hey, we're being double taxed for this service that the county provides. You guys are county residents just as much as you are Baldwin residents. So now that some leadership has changed with Habersham County, we have been able to come to the table and renegotiate that. But in the interim, we've had dogs that have been brought to City Hall, been dropped off at the police department, they've been brought to myself, and in trying to mitigate not having animal control services. Some of us are already out of our own pockets in caring for animals that the county should be taking care of because you guys already pay those taxes. So as far as the money is concerned, is minimal. Our police department, we have had where we did approve paying for a kennel that would fit in the back of our cars, a heat. It's a system that makes sure that the dog is safe in case of the car overheating, getting hot. That was actually donated to us this week, or late last week, from Swanee. Is that right? Swanee? Snellville. I'm sorry. I knew it was an S. Snellville has donated because they closed their canine unit down. They had an officer leave, and they just figured it was, better to donate some of these. So we've also had Steel Cell. One of our local businesses has donated just over $1,600 towards our canine program. So there's been a lot of people that recognize the importance of this program and have come to our rescue. And this particular dog was one that was brought to us during our time having no animal control. So it was a problem a solution to several problems. That said, yes, I agree with you about the drugs. In fact, one of the meetings that you came to us, there were some shoes that were hanging from a power line. And historically that indicates that, hey, you can buy drugs on this street. And that was that in your neighborhood? Right. So the war on drugs has been going on how long? Decades. Are we ever going to stop it? No. But what we can do, and I agree with you on how strict the laws, or how not strict the laws are on people who peddle drugs to others and contribute to their death, the death and destruction of our country and our families. So, but we're going to do what we can. There are a lot of drugs that are coming through here, and we are the southern corridor to Habersham County. We're the gatekeepers. And this canine unit is not only going to just be for us, but it's also in assisting the rest of the county in public safety, as well as the Appalachian Drug Task Force. They, at GBI, they're going to contact us for our assistance because we have this canine. Canines are very expensive, $10,000, $15,000 for a fully trained dog with genetics. We were blessed, in my opinion, this was a gift from God. We were blessed with a dog that has that capability. We're also blessed with an officer that has the experience already to train and get this dog prepared to do that. So, and because we're poor, we don't have a lot of money to work with. I feel that all of these things fell into place at exactly the right moment when God needed it to. And we're able to move forward with that. So, yes, definitely, they are not strict enough on the penalties for selling drugs and buying them. And that is unfortunately something that's out of our hands. This is Superior Court. Is that right? Is it Superior Court that deals with those things?
Yes.
Because we don't, Superior Court. So that's something that you may want to talk to the Habersham County Commission, and I believe also you guys elect, no, these are state laws. Am I wrong? State laws.
You need to contact your legislative.
Yeah, state legislators. So Bo Hatchett, Victor Anderson, Chris Irwin, these are the folks that we need to be talking to. And they're working really hard. They've got a couple of bills in. One is relating to gangs, because we've got the gangs that are moving up here from Atlanta through Hall County and into our lovely town. So we definitely need to be talking to those folks about that particular aspect of it. But for now, Baldwin's going to do what we can with the canine that we were blessed with and the officer we were blessed with and all of the other financial and material blessings that we've gotten. These are all going to help. Not gonna make it go away, it never has, it never will, but we gotta do what we can. So, that was long-winded, I'm getting looks, I'm sorry. So, as far as the money sources is concerned, so the public safety fund, as with most of our buckets, our coffers, they're all restricted, so we can't just willy-nilly move one bucket of funds to another bucket of funds to make things work, like solo cups in a ping pong ball. And that's good, it's a good thing that we're regulated like that. We're not the federal government. The federal government's really good about doing willy-nilly things. I think we can all agree on that. But we are restricted in what we can do by the law. And in the last couple of years, Baldwin has gotten very good at making sure we adhere to all those where possibly that had not always been done that way. So thankful for that. And with that said, in the last 2 years, we have gone from a pretty severe deficit. Under current leadership, we have gone to where things are actually being done correctly, and we are spending the taxpayers' money responsibly. But we need folks like you to come in and say, hey, let's make sure you're doing things right, because we have not had enough of that. But all of us, and you can always reach out to any of us, but I'm definitely gonna throw you to Ms. Woodmaster because she's the expert. If there are ever any questions or suggestions, you've also come, one of the few people that come to our council and offer suggestions in, like with the paving of Chandler Heights, with innovation and different ideas that can be a solution to a problem. And I can't tell you, Mr. Sharpshare, how much I appreciate that. So I hope that answers some of your questions and quells some of your concerns about the K-9. And I do appreciate it. Okay, so now I'm done running my mouth. Next thing on the agenda is a report. We have no public hearings. Report from our police department, and I believe that is Chief Jones.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I would like to first touch on something, and you hit on this, as far as the prosecuting of the person for the drugs, whatever charge it may be. So I'll give you a fine example. So when I first become a trooper, you know, our passion is to catch impaired drivers. That's what a trooper does. That is what you're bred to do. So imagine you catch an impaired driver, you have all your field sobriety, use your training, use all the tools you've been given, you arrest that person, you take them to jail. Then they go to trial, and I've sat on these trials, and out of all the DUIs I've ever done, I lost one. And that one bothered me. And I had a positive blood test on that one. And that eated me so bad. But the consolation I had is that night I got that person off the road. They didn't have the chance to kill somebody that night. Whatever the defense attorney, whatever the true jury, the judge done afterwards, that's out of my hands. I done my job that night. So think about a drug dealer. Say Captain Ferguson stops that car and he detects the odor, marijuana, whatever it may be. He doesn't get consent to search. He unloads Nikos out of the patrol vehicle, does a free air search of that car, gets consent to search, calls for another officer, pulls that person out of the car, gets them detained, searches the car. Just say they find 5 pounds of methamphetamines and they find an illegal weapon, firearm. All right, so that night, I can't control what the defense attorney or the prosecuting jury, judge does, but that night, that drug deal may have been prevented. An innocent person might have lost their life. So I get consolation from thinking about it that way. I done my job at that time. So enough on that. I just want to give you an example.
Thank you, Chief.
So as far as my report, we'll start with the positives first. So as y'all know, y'all seen it, the atmosphere at which this police department is totally different than what it used to be. We've got great officers, and our GCIC department is great. We have not, the manpower down in there, but we're keeping up with production. We've got a better work environment. We've got happier employees. So I think there's things you have to do, and it took time. It's not been overnight, so we've done that. And then we're truly blessed with new patrol vehicles. I mean, that is a blessing right there. And our officers, I know they're appreciative of those vehicles, and these officers take care of their cars. You go look at these, they bought floor mats out of their own pocket for their cars. How many people do that? Bought nice floor mats out of their own pocket. So you gotta commend your employees for that. And then our 24/7 status, we're close. I mean, we're very close to getting that. Me and Justin's worked hard on that one. That's been a project since I started here. So we're nearly 2 years into this. But what we've done, we've stacked it with good officers. We've not just hired just anybody. We've got good people that you can trust, and then we can send them out to y'all as citizens to give y'all the good service. And then the K-9 program. That's definitely positive to me. And the day I come to this department, one of my dreams was to get a K-9 program going. And that's one of the ways I was able to hire Captain Ferguson right here, because that's his true love, is doing that. So definitely a positive. And then positive work environment. We've got that here because, you're always going to have stuff at work. You're not going to be like super excited to come to work. But you can go ask any of our employees, and I don't think any of them dread it because who they work with or anything like that. So definitely a good environment. And then community outreach. We've got it the best I've ever seen it about in the police department. Fall festivals, we go to schools. Me and Lita went to Head Start this morning. We do a lot of stuff. We get out, we talk to people in the neighborhoods, we ride through the neighborhoods, we do business checks. And then training. It is our goal here because we've got, 4 instructors here? We have 4 certified instructors. That's unheard of in a small department. We're going to do a lot of training. We're going to do good training. And that training makes a difference. That's what makes good officers. And when you send an officer or firefighter to training they want to go to, they're happy. So we can't have positives without negatives. But the negatives, that's minimal. So we talked about animal control. We had a great meeting, though, with animal control. I think we're getting that addressed. It's one small piece at a time, but we're getting it. So then I have to talk about the 2 2017 Ford Explorers we have, the silver ones. They definitely are going to need work. They have issues now. So what that leads into is I said that I did not want new officers driving a new Tahoe before 90 days. And that's not a policy, it's not a law. So we may have to infringe on that because I'm not going to put 2 officers in an unsafe car. One of them's got the transmission is very bad. So I'm not going to have an officer out here at night by himself in a vehicle with bad transmission. He's en route to a hot call and the car tears up. That's dangerous. And the next thing is staffing needs. I'm not going to be real hard on that because y'all been great to us as a council. But I would like to have 2 new officers when we get the new budget. If we could have those 2 new officers, that's the vision, the chart that we brought in here. If we have that, that sustains us for a while. So we've had the positives, we've had the negatives, so I think you have to end with future goals. Yes. So my future goals for this department is a health and wellness program. But a health and wellness program, you got to be careful, you will run your people off. We can't come in here and say, hey, we're going to do a 3-mile run next week. No. Your job depends on it. You can't do that. That's not feasible. You got to take the input from these employees. Hey, what can we do? So I have a dream of, we have training, and it's health and wellness, but we get post-credit hours for that. Because the fire department, y'all do stuff that kind of does where y'all get training hours and PT sessions. So I kind of want to integrate some of that in the police department. And then my last goal, and we've talked about this, is additional staff that will be to a task force, like the DEA. Once we get to that point, we can really start making a difference. And that's when we can start helping out with seizures for our department. So.
Which also helps, if you are selling drugs in a car, that car belongs to us.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Yes, we can do that. And adding on to that is Justin and myself want to put an impound yard behind the PD. There's been a need for that for years.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to secure stuff too, cause you saw we had a police cruiser out here, the windshield got busted,
Yep.
so.
Here on the property.
Yes, and we're not immune to it, so. Any other questions?
No, but Chief, thank you so much, and, a little bit of a crybaby, but particularly in the last 2 months has been, really rough, on my schedule and with the responsibilities that I've taken over as mayor, has been really rough. So hearing this report has me, sweating from my eyes a little bit, and I cannot tell you the changes that I've seen over the last 5 years being on council has been significant. And it has been like fighting a war. And I can't tell you how proud I am. It has been it's been a long, arduous task. And we're here to support you. We have our department heads have worked really hard to make the right choices in who they hire, because as previous Chief Brandon, who brought you to us, Chief Brandon said, rather no one than the wrong one. And that's for all of our departments. Rather no one than the wrong one. And part of that has been making sure that our people are taken care of with their benefits, we approved all of the federal holidays being a holiday for our staff. We have done pay studies to make sure that we are paying properly, because historically, particularly with our fire department and our police department, we have the training facility and we've got great department heads that can give that training. But we didn't have the benefits and the pay to keep those people whom we all pay for. So for that to be effective, they were training here, and then they were leaving, and other departments and other agencies were benefiting from what was being lifeblood sucked out of us. Now our employees are proud to be here. They feel like they have the support from council and mayor. They want to stay here. I've got goosebumps. I'm telling you, it has been a real battle. And particularly you folks that are looking to run in these positions, just know what we have been through has been significant. And know that it's not easy, and you'll come to find out, it is not easy to come to the citizens and say, hey, we gotta go up on the water rate. Well, we have great drinking water. We have great facilities because we provide water to most of Habersham County. Or it's hard, like last year when we had to come to you guys and say, we're gonna have to go up on the millage rate. It has been a couple of years in figuring all that had been neglected previously and bringing that up to where you guys we're getting everything that we have been paying for. And not being looked at. I'm gonna put this as a real estate agent, I'm gonna put this little aspect that you guys may not know, but we had the reputation of being the redheaded stepchildren of Habersham County. We were always last in line. We were always the ones that were fighting and scratching and clawing like lobsters back down to the pot of boiling water. I would get phone calls from people who wanted to buy anywhere in Habersham County but Baldwin. What does that do for our real estate values? Which in turn affects our tax digest and the way that the amount of things cost. So just understand it's a big puzzle and there are lots of little pieces to it. And I cannot thank you guys, and you guys, thanking everyone. Okay, thanks, Chief. I appreciate it.
Can I add something to what the chief said real quick?
Sure,
Things
absolutely.
talking about we're almost to 24/7.
Yes.
I know last meeting I told y'all it was gonna be a couple days, but we had to push it back a week due to some training and stuff. But
Yeah.
actually tonight is the first time we had 24-hour coverage for at least one rotation, and then should be 2 weeks from now, it'll be 24 hours across the board.
Finally, that's exciting. Thank you, because a lot of really dangerous and scary things happen at night. And I've been one of the most other than living in Africa, one of the most frightening things that I've ever had was did a 12-hour shift with our police department, and those evening hours were rather frightening. So thank you for protecting us. I appreciate that, and I'm really excited about 24/7. Okay, so old business. Consideration approval of Habersham County Animal Control Intergovernmental Agreement. Ms. Amy, you wanna, I'm sorry, we'll try to move quickly through this.
Evening.
Good evening.
We've heard about animal control a couple of times tonight.
I know, yes.
As you all are aware, we have been in great need of animal control. That has been made evident over the last few months that we've not had animal control. For those of you who don't know, we canceled animal control during our last budget cycle for FY23. And we had a contingency in the contract that required that we submit a 60-day notice. So we wound up having animal control through the month of November, but then December, January, February, and now March, we have not had it. And it is evident. There's been a number of calls to City Hall, arrivals at City Hall, arrivals to our fire department, our police department, to
Dogs
our mayor's house.
The other mayor.
They're everywhere. And so we have worked diligently with the county to find a way to secure animal control for the remainder of this fiscal year. While this proposal, this IGA, does not move anything past June 30th of this year, this is a way for us to have it for the remainder of this fiscal year while we work out the details for the future. So what is before you tonight on page 5 is an intergovernmental agreement between Habersham County Animal Control and the City of Baldwin, and that includes all of the corporate city limits, that is Banks County and Habersham County alike. So if you live inside Baldwin city limits, you have animal control under this IGA. The proposed, nothing changes. If you recall a couple of years ago when we adopted the IGA, the first time to reestablish animal control, one of the requirements was that we adopt their animal control ordinance. And we did that. We've never repealed it. So that is still active on our side. So there is no additional approval for that. The only other requirement is to allocate funding for it, which is for the remainder of this fiscal year, starting April 1st, will be $4,200. The termination of this agreement, you'll read it in here that they do require a 60-day termination notice, just as they did before. However, the county manager has agreed to waive that requirement. So as we work out the new rate going forward. So my recommendation tonight is to use $4,200 from our general fund balance to cover that cost, as it was not anticipated in the budget for 2022.
So, something that I have not been able to communicate to everyone yet, but I have been reaching out to the mayors of the other cities, so that we can all get together, because this is not just a Baldwin thing. There are also, Cornelia, Mount Airy, Demorest, Tallulah Falls, Alto, all of the cities that are in, that are in Habersham County are also paying in addition. So I'm working with the mayors of the other cities to get with the county and talk about how the property taxes are allocated and why cities are paying additionally on top of that. So just know that this would be an interim thing. So between now and the new fiscal year, and the county is also working on their budget, I recognize that they can't just say, oh, well, let's just flip a switch and change it. It's been done like this for forever. So and I understand that they can't, just like we can't just flip in the middle of a budget cycle and change how things are done. But now is the time to have those conversations with them while they're working on their budget process. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because there was a lot of numbers. And the county was really great about being completely transparent about all the numbers and where it comes from and how it's put in there. So, but I believe all of the cities together pay into animal control. Am I wrong at $179,000?
That's right.
That's correct. So all of the cities combined bring $179,000 to the county, in addition to what homeowners are paying on their property taxes. So some things to work
The
out.
numbers are backwards. The $179,000 is the general M&O.
The general M&O, I'm sorry, I had that
The
wrong.
contracted rate that the cities are paying is $116,000. By
116.
contract.
Yeah, okay.
Every city, with the exception, I believe, of Tallulah Falls, I don't believe they participate.
Right.
But every other city has a contract with animal control based on the population. It's
Right.
$116,000.
Gotcha. so thank you for, lots of numbers coming around there. So just know that the discussion's not over, and, you know, this is an interim fix. And hopefully we can all come to the table and make sure that it's all fair and there's no double taxation going on. So, that said, has everyone had the opportunity to read the IGA? Do we have any issues with the 4,200 coming from the fund balance? Excellent, okay. So that said, I would, thank you, Ms. Woodmaster. I would like to ask for a motion to approve the IGA with Habersham County Animal Control in the amount of $4,200 to be expensed from general fund balance. I have a motion from, is that good? Okay. I'm gonna ask the boss. Motion from Dr. Romano, can I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Venture, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Say, Larry, did you say aye?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, motion passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Okay, second item, new business. Consideration approval of fire department vehicle maintenance request. And I'm assuming we'll also be talking about chief, consideration approval of fire department vehicle gas request. All right, Chief, or anyone, whichever.
I can do it. I can start. He's got some details, but I'll give you.
Okay.
So we met with the department heads a couple of weeks ago, going over their budgets just to make sure we were in line with the remaining fiscal year balances on each of their line items. And the fire department has had unanticipated expenses in their vehicle maintenance. As you all are aware, you approved them. This is more or less cleaning up the budget and making sure that we are 100% in line with keeping a balanced budget. However, there are still additional requests for some vehicles in the fire department fleet, which I will let him discuss. But tonight there are two considerations. The first one is to allocate $25,000 from the general fund balance to this line item for the fire department. And then there is an expense that is on the books waiting for approval because it exceeds the $5,000 threshold, and that is 56. But I will
55, 88, 33.
Yes, and I will let Chief explain what those are and why we have them.
Good evening. On vehicle maintenance, we have extended our budget what we anticipated. Just throw some items out there that has happened to some of the trucks. I went through where I keep record of everything that's done to these trucks. The tower up to date from July of 2022 to today's date, not including the 5,500 that is pending, has cost us $8,662 in repairs. With the 5,500, that 5,500 is for a cylinder repair. One of the big cylinders blew a hydraulic leak in while we were testing it on Friday. They got it happen then, not on call.
Yes.
But when you rebuild cylinders, those big cylinders, they highly recommend, once you build one, you rebuild the other. Because if you don't, it's gonna blow anyhow, because of the strength of the other one. So that cost of $5,500 is to get those two cylinders replaced. The truck is in Oakwood, a repair shop, and we had to take it down there for them to get into it, see what was needed to come up with a quote. And in front of you is what that quote is. Engine 42. That's the old 29-year-old Seagrave we got. Well, that truck has cost us $14,658 in repairs since July of 22. That truck is also on the fuel side for the last 7 months until we've got our quick response vehicle in, was our first new engine to respond to automated calls, every call. Well, that truck, this is no lie, The guys are putting fuel in that truck every other day. So if we go back and get fuel tickets, which I could do, and tell you how much that truck is costing fuel, there's our problem getting fuel. Of course, the increase in fuel, but that one ate it up.
Is it leaking or
No,
it's just heavy?
It's just
Yeah,
29 years old and a big motor.
yeah. Yep.
And engine 43, which is our 30-year-old fire truck, the Freightliner, the two-door, it cost us $9,530 since July of 22. Those are the biggest ones that stand out the most.
Mhm.
As far as anticipation on anything else coming down the line in the next 3 months, it's hard for me to say. Something break like that, but nothing's pending except for the ladder truck. The pickup truck that we have has got like a $400 charge. I'm gonna have about $400 charge on it. But other than that, I don't have nothing pending.
I'm really thankful for that, quick response, it's taken all of the, yeah,
Yes,
Instead
quick
of
response
using a
vehicle that's
30-year-old.
taking the place of 42, where 42 is not running
yeah,
and not using that fuel. Like it was, it is our second new engine,
yeah,
but, it ain't running on all the mid-calls and everything else, so
Right.
that helped tremendously. Engine 41, the new engine,
mhm,
that thing, it's a fuel saver.
yeah, that's good,
It's a definite fuel saver compared to what we're used to.
yeah,
We're used to putting fuel in these trucks every 2-3 days,
yeah,
and it's going like a week.
yeah.
And, you know, when they get down to a quarter, they're required to fill it up. Because those trucks have to go on fire season, they have to sit there and run for hours and hours and hours, and you gotta have that fuel in there.
And these were a part of that whole catching up to things that had just been kinda kicked down the road.
That's
So,
correct.
yeah, that's good.
So that's pretty much, I mean, on the maintenance and the vehicle, the fuel cost.
Yeah,
You know, the cost of fuel, we try to participate, you know, figure out what it's gonna be in our budgets, when we do our budgets, and it's hard. When they jack it up, and, you know, we go, this new budget coming up,
Yeah.
you'll see a really big increase on it, and that's only because it goes higher than what it is
yeah,
now.
yeah.
If that makes sense. If it
Clarksville-
does it, well, that's great.
Yeah, Clarksville had to do something similar. They had to go in after the fact, after their budget had already been worked out, and approve gas, of all things. So, yeah,
We have been, trying our best not to have these trucks on the road. Sometimes you might see one sitting out. You gotta remember, we had 2 trucks that go on. If it's not a med call, if it's a med call, we got 1 little truck go. If it's anything else, then 2 trucks go. So usually in the past, since 2 months ago, you would see 2 fire trucks sitting maybe at Pizza Hut, and the guys are getting pizza. They've been trying to cook here the best they can, eat here, but when they go, instead of taking both trucks to lunch, if they go to lunch, and they get that call while they're out, I'm making them go in 1 truck.
yeah,
If it's that bad of a call, then either me or Assistant Chief Benfield, you know, our pickup would run back to the station, get that other truck and get in and out.
yeah.
But that's what we're trying to do to help the cost of fuel.
I appreciate that.
So,
Thanks, Chief. Okay, that said, do you guys have any questions about the vehicle maintenance request and the gas request for the fire department?
pretty straightforward.
It is,
And the
yeah.
expense.
And the expense, yes. Okay, so, feeling pretty good about my motions here. Let's see. So, for the first one, can I have a motion to increase the fire department's vehicle maintenance line item by $25,000 from the general fund balance line item as presented? I have a, motion from Dr. Almano. Can I have a second? Second from Councilman Ayers. All in favor, say aye. Okay, any opposed? Nope. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely. And then, the maintenance request. So this is the one, just, normally if it's $5,000 or under and it's budgeted, they have the authorization to go ahead and approve that. But it's about $600 over that, so I have to have a second motion. Can I have a motion to approve the fire department vehicle maintenance request as presented with a cost not to exceed $5,600 and to be expensed from the vehicle maintenance budget? I have a motion from Councilman Venter. Can I have a second? Second from Councilman Llewellyn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's see. So moving right along, consideration or approval of general fund wage study.
You also have the gas request. There's an increase to.
Oh,
That's what he was referring to.
I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay. I will also add, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but the fire department's budget as a whole is at 74% complete, which
Yes.
is right on target for the year. So even though we are requesting this, we are hoping that we don't need to tap into that.
Right.
However, the request is out of an abundance of caution. But they are still in
Out of an
line.
abundance of caution. Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they are in line.
We don't want to
with
run
the
out of
budget.
gas.
Yes.
That would not be good, right? Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So third motion, can I have a motion to approve the fire department vehicle gas request as presented with a cost not to exceed $7,000 and to be expensed from the general fund balance? I got a motion from Councilman Llewellyn, second from Dr. Armano. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Okay. Let's see. So now we can talk about the general fund wage study. This was that for?
Flip over to page 8 of the packet. You will see a letter from EMI. If you look at the date, it is from January. I've spent the better part of 2 months trying to figure out how to pay for it.
Okay.
So that's why it's just not coming before you.
Okay.
This is, if you recall, a little over a year ago, we completed the enterprise fund, all of the enterprise fund services wage study, and actually established a salary scale for each position that we have. There's a job description for each position, and then there's a scale, mid, medium, or minimum, medium, maximum salary ranges that can be expected for those roles. And if you attain additional certification, all of that is called out in that salary breakdown that has been provided by EMI. We've used that for the last year, and everyone has loved it. It has been great. It makes decision making for department heads a lot easier when it comes to determining the salary of the hiring. My request is that we do the same thing for our general fund services. In our enterprise, we have public works, which is water distribution and wastewater collection. We have the wastewater treatment plant as well as the water treatment plant. However, in the general fund, we have all of these more services. So we have the fire department and the police department and court and general administration and the mayor and council. And we want to review all of that and ensure that we have the same style scale that we do for the enterprise fund. So we design the same. The cost is more than the enterprise fund wage study, and that is as a result of the amount of time that it will take to complete all of the services. My recommendation for this is to take it's $7,500 to complete this, and I'm recommending that we take that from my travel and training budget for the remainder of this fiscal year. It was built into the budget that I go to the GMA conference each year, but I'm asking to not go to that so that we can complete this study.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are going to the GMA, and training is very important, as some of you will come to find out. Training is very important because there's lots of complicated things. So the wage study, like we did for the other one, was very important and instrumental in understanding where we needed to be with our benefits and salary for our employees that are out there providing these services for us. And it wasn't until then that we did that, that we understood why our people were taking our training and flying the coop. So you guys had some questions, and I believe we were able to come up with some answers. Is that right? Some questions about the, yeah. Because what goes into a wage study?
Well, so when I came on the council 3.5 years ago, one of the first opportunities I had to look at a macro level at wages was being on the policy manual committee.
Yeah.
And realizing that if you were to be employed by Baldwin, how your salary was determined was arbitrary and capricious. So, yeah.
Oh, there we go, yeah. Was more or less
Sounds
what
right.
it's like. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's good.
Dig around a hat,
Right.
pull a number out.
So, one of the things that we as a council have been committed to is a minimum salary, a standard salary, and really an opportunity for folks to know how their salary will be increased in the years that they're employed, with Baldwin. I don't think, anybody who's employed with the city should wonder, what the steps are for their salary. You know, if I, as Ms. Woodmaster said, if I get this training, it's this bump in pay.
Yep.
So we've been committed to this. We've been talking about this wage study for a long time. So I'm excited. Fletcher, how long do you think it would take EMI to get this done?
Would probably take 3 to 4 months to complete the entire evaluation.
No,
I heard.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of conversations and things that a lot of study that goes into that, so.
I think, yeah, the sooner that we do things for our employees, the better.
Yeah.
Always. And future, as you said in your letter, it helps us recruit
Yeah.
good employees, it helps us retain good employees. So I think this is very, very important to do.
Oh, yeah, and keeping and retaining, good quality employees is what, I mean, if you don't have good folks working for you, then your services are garbage. So, is this gonna be, do you expect this to be in time for our new budget fiscal year? No? Oops.
No. 3 to 4 months, I mean, this is almost.
What do we, oh,
This is almost it.
so I can't count,
No, well, I mean, the other benefit of this for me, I've been asking since I've been on the council, what are our peer cities? What are the aspirant cities?
right,
And I think as you go through the process, you indicated in your letter that you would be looking at least at peer cities.
Oh, most definitely.
And to identify those. So when citizens come to us and say, well, this is, Snellville is doing this, and this was, okay. So here are the cities that are like us.
Right.
That they have water, they have sewer, they have fire, they have certain, certain population, certain number of employees.
yeah.
That would help me to be able to talk to our residents better. So I appreciate that sort of hidden part of the work that you do.
And I'll give a prime example. I know that in the county, not here for us, but most of you guys are, with the exception of a couple of us, most of you are, I believe, are Havisham County residents. There was a big to-do about the county manager's salary and benefits package. And it upset me because I know how hard she works. And just a prime example with the animal control issue, I know how hard she works in trying to come to the table and explain to her commissioners. She's done a lot of great things. That said, people were saying, well, her salary, Stevens County or White County, well, their manager doesn't make that, but they're not the same. So I actually took it upon myself to go to the DCA website. There are only 5 other counties in the state of Georgia that have a similar population, about 50,000. But it doesn't stop there. So what DCA had reported as far as what those salaries were wildly inaccurate, I have to say. So I called each one of the counties and asked them, hey, what are you paying your county manager? But also, it goes further than that. We're looking at what the median income is for a household and individual. We're looking at the median home price. We're looking at what services they have, their density, square miles, all of this. We're looking at all of these things. In all of these counties, I'm asking, do you have an industrial park? Do you have an airport? Do you have fire and EMS? Do you have a hospital? Do you have Parks and Recreation? They had a few of the things. Habersham County's got a laundry list, and each one of those counties had 2 or 3 cities. We have 7. So she has to put up with a bunch of crap from 7 different cities. So this, where people were comparing apples to kumquats. It was just not simply the same. So these salary studies include this. This is a very simple version of that, but these pay studies are very involved, and so I'm also excited about hearing about the finding, and that we're not comparing apples to kumquats.
But I think it gives us a good basis as we go forward and continually fine tune the policy manual.
Mhm.
Like, we don't have a baseline right now, so this gives us a baseline. If we link things to CPI, or, you know, however we think about raises going forward, then,
Yeah.
you know, we have a starting point.
Agreed.
Okay, well, that said, do we have any more discussion or questions about the pay study? Okay. So, I get my little cheat sheet. All right, can I have a motion to authorize EMI to complete a wage study of general fund services with a cost not to exceed $77,500 and to be expensed from the general fund budget as presented?
So
I have a motion from Dr. Armagno. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second from Councilman Venture. All in favor say aye. All right, any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. All right, so, consideration approval of water treatment plant expense. Yes, I guess that would be,
So we have a water treatment plant expense. There isn't anything in your packet tonight, but we did discuss it, a month and a half or so ago. We pulled it from the consent agenda because we needed to find another way to pay for it. But I will let, Mr. Holliday explain.
okay.
Good evening, hope all of you are well.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, so this expense is for the addition of anthracite coal
Mhm.
In the water treatment plant filters. The water treatment plant has 2 separate filters. It's a multimedia filter which consists of sand, garnet, and anthracite coal. Annually, we take each filter down. And when I say we take each filter down, we take it out of service and we remove the water from it and do a thorough inspection of the filter. And by its specifications, we are supposed to measure the media depth, which is a requirement by the state drinking water rules and regulations. And upon this current year's inspection, we noted and indicated in our report that both of the filters needed anthracite coal to be added. This is common. It has the less density, the lightest specific gravity weight of each granular media segment. So during backwash, it's common for some of it to wash out. It also degrades over periods of time. So this is not an uncommon process or expense. The last time we had to replace it, I believe, was 7 years ago. We added anthracite 7 or 8 years ago. So this is one of those processes that's just it's a regular maintenance process, if you will. So with that being said, we would like to have the anthracite replaced prior to our upcoming sanitary survey, which we have in June of this year. And we have priced anthracite coal, and the cost of purchase and replacement of the coal in the both filter medias is $24,400. And I believe we're going to expense that from
the enterprise fund balance.
Which is when we make money selling water, it goes into the enterprise fund, and these funds are what go to pay for the improvements and maintenance of the water system. So, sounds like a plan to me. That media is rather so just replacing all of the media is quite expensive. And thank you, Emma, for keeping tabs on that and helping us keep up with it.
And that's enough for both filters, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That will replace the media in both filters and allow the filters to continue to perform in top condition citizens of Baldwin and outside.
And
Baldwin.
beyond.
Yeah,
And beyond.
And it keeps, I know a word, turbidity, keeps the turbidity low.
That is correct. It needs turbidity on a continuous basis.
Yes, yep. Okay, so, are you laughing at me? Yes, you are. I know the words, okay? Oh man, I'm just kidding. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the water treatment plant expense as presented with a cost not to exceed $25,000 and to be expensed from the enterprise fund balance? Thank you. A motion from Councilman Ayers, second from Dr. Almano. All in favor say aye. All right, motion carries.
Can I ask Mr. Holliday a question, please? Oh, I'm sorry. How quickly can this happen?
So we should have this completed, I hope no later by the end of May. We're gonna have it completed prior to the survey.
Prior to the survey.
Yeah, that's our goal. It all depends on when the anthracite coal can be delivered.
I'm really interested in the fact that there's garnet, and this is my birthstone, so I'm so fascinated by the fact that garnet is used in our media. It's very interesting.
All right.
Wouldn't think, yeah. Okay, all right. So thank you, everyone. So we also have consideration and approval of the Light Street water tank expense.
We'll let Mr. Holliday take that one.
Yep, stick around for us.
Wait, I've got a question.
Yes, sir?
Okay, I'm seeing here, there's a high pressure area along Smoke Rise Drive that's gonna have a valve, is that correct?
Yeah, so there is an area in Smoke Rise Drive that has a dead-end trench line that's currently there. This was one of the areas that we evaluated in the very beginning, that with the installation of the new tank and additional pressure data, it required the installation of a new pressure reducing valve.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that kind of like the one we had to put on Williamstown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so with the change of the pressure that we had in the system, we have 3 different pressure datums that were installed because of the new tank. And with that being said, we had to step pressure down, and a pressure reducing valve, PRV, reduces those pressures to a certain area. So we can regulate high pressures in areas that need it, and then those lower pressures where the pressure will be increased, we step it down.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, great question, Larry, thank you. Yes. Okay, so, you guys have any more questions about that?
And with, explanation on 6.
Yeah, so,
Oh, okay.
so the,
Sorry.
item 6 on the agenda, is that what we're talking about last?
Yes.
Yeah. So this project, has been it's been a long time coming to close this out.
Yes.
This project includes the new water tank, the new booster pump station, as well as the water line extension. It has been in place for some time. We've had a lot of hiccups, if you will, or areas that we had to overcome with the completion of the project. And in 2021, as the project was moving forward, we needed the city to allocate an additional amount of funds. We projected that to be, we projected that cost to be $135,000 that the city would need to allocate for the project. And again, when I say allocate for the project, I'm talking about funds that the city would be expensed. So the total project cost did not increase, but this project was funded through GFA funds as well as an ARC grant that the city received from the federal government. And so those funds came from GFA, ARC, and then the city's allocated proportion of that. In 2021, we projected, based on the costs that were assigned for the project, to be $135,642.55. Since the project now is complete, and it is complete, the water tank is installed, the booster pump station is operational, has been operational for some time now, and it's working fine. It's working as designed. With all of the costs that have been allocated for and accounted for, We have now seen that the actual cost that the city is going to need to allocate would be $168,446 as opposed to $135,642. So that is a slight increase from the additional amount that we had projected. It's actually $25,965.73 more. And again, this is just the amount that the city has allocated for the particular project. The actual cost amount for this particular work, which consisted of the booster pump station and the water line, and include the pressure reducing valve that Mr. Llewellyn was asking me about, that total cost for that work was actually projected to be in the final budget numbers of $887,452.64, and the total project cost for that was actually $861,484.91. So the project total cost is actually less than what was bid on. So again, I just want to add that we're not asking for the city to add more funds to the project. We're just asking the city to increase their allocated portion of the project. The project cost was actually less than what was bid on.
Yeah. That's great. It's always good to hear that. Absolutely. Okay. So, because now I can ask you more questions about it. So, let's see. Can I have a motion to approve the Light Street water tank engineering expense as presented with a cost not to exceed $33,000 and to be expensed from system connection fees? And let me just really quick before I get that.
This is not engineering expense. This is construction expense.
That engineering should not be in there.
Yeah, this is not for engineering. This actually would go to the contractor.
Yeah,
This would be the construction expense.
That's my fault. I left it on
Yeah,
there.
you know what, and I read that as being construction, engineering construction, yes. But before I move into this, we are asking that this be expensed from system connection fees. And I'll explain, system connection fees are something that new developers or new development that comes into the city are required to pay these system connection fees, which helps with their impact that they're going to have on our system without shifting that cost and that burden onto people who already live here and own property here. So that's another one of those little buckets, so that we're shifting that off of the homeowners onto new development. Just so you guys understand that. But I'd like to have a motion to approve the Light Street water tank expense as presented with a cost not to exceed $33,000 and to be expensed from the system connection fees. Okay, I got a motion from Dr. Almano. Can I have a second? Got a second from Councilman Ayers. All in favor say aye. Thank you, motion carries. And I believe that is all we have for the new business. We do have executive session to discuss personnel as well as land acquisition and disposal and also potential litigation. But before we move into it, ask for a motion to move into executive session. Understand executive session, no decisions are made. It's just conversations that are sensitive and have to be made in private before we can bring them into an open meeting. So that said, I want to go ahead and also give the announcements, because these executive sessions take a little while and I don't want you guys to get away without having the announcements. The City Council Spring Retreat will be April 20th and 21st from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. and it will be at 202 Luthi Road in Alto. So just keep that in mind if you guys are interested in coming to hear the things that we're going to discuss for the next fiscal year. Please feel free to come. We have Baldwin Cleanup Day, always a big deal. Oh, okay. Baldwin Cleanup Day is a lot of fun. You wouldn't believe the trash that we get off the road. You wouldn't believe some of the things that people are able to bring to us where they normally can't. So please participate with us. It is Saturday, April 22nd from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. You can join us at the Baldwin Farmers Market at 110 Airport Road and celebrate Earth Day by cleaning up Baldwin roads and planting a tree. Free t-shirt and lunch provided for pre-registered participants. Sign up with your t-shirt size at Baldwin Events at cityofbaldwin.org by April 7th. And yes,
Is there a note about Amnesty Week?
It will be on the.
It's on the water bill.
We'll include it for the next announcement.
a nice amount.
But I can tell you what it is. So during the week leading up to cleanup day, we our public works team goes around and picks up any of your unwanted treasures. So refrigerators, mattresses, old couches, brush, whatever you want to get rid of, they will come and take it as long as you put your name on a list. At City Hall, you can call us. But we are also this year taking like household paint, like cans of paint. So if you have leftover paint that you want to get rid of, and tires. So
Big deal.
Has that
yes.
been confirmed?
Yes, we are going to be taking tires. We will not take semi-tires. So if you have like an 18-wheeler,
Tractor
we
tires,
can't
yeah.
take those or tractor tires. However, if you have an SUV, an F-150, an F-250, a sedan, we will take those tires. We just ask that you set them next to any of the other things that you are wanting to get rid of so that our team can come by and just pick those items up, because there will be a designated team going around to pick those items up.
No in-laws and no exes.
No.
Rats.
Wait a
So-
second.
Is there any discussion of rims on the tires? Because I think Scott and I had talked about, is it just a tire?
It's just the tire.
If there's a rim on it, it's got to come off.
It's yes.
And then,
That is
now
correct.
there may be a possibility of just taking it to a tire shop and asking them if they can separate the tire from the wheel. Now, you can also recycle the wheels because the scrap yards will pay you to take that.
Well, we are
So-
working with a local business to take the tires that we collect.
That's great, that's great. So I also understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, FCS is a great partner with the city that's, as you probably know, who collects our trash. I believe they are donating a roll-off, am I right?
That's correct.
Are they also donating, is it just
They haven't
a roll-off?
confirmed anything else other
They
than
haven't
that.
confirmed. Okay, great.
They are
So they're
looking into
donating
it.
a roll-off, and that's a huge help.
Yeah.
So, awesome, thank you. Okay, City of Baldwin will be hosting a town hall meeting on May 1st at 6:30 p.m. at Life Church. We invite citizens to come and ask questions. We meet our department heads and discuss the future of Baldwin. Last year's town hall was very successful. We didn't have a whole lot of people show up, but the people that did show up definitely had some concerns and questions, and we were able to answer those. And to our pleasure and surprise, you know, we had all of our department heads there. We had information ready to answer questions. Council and mayor at the time was there as well, and lots of questions asked, and we were able to answer them, and people left satisfied. So would really love for you to spread the word. We'd like to have as much participation as we can, and 6:30 Life Church, 6:30 p.m. May 1st at Life Church. So, all right. With that, can I have a motion to move into executive session? Motion from Councilman Ayers, have a second? Second from Councilman Venture. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion